My Demon Episode 3 picks up where we left off, with Gu-won saving Do-hee from an acid attack. Do-hee is surprised to see him, and he says he is trying to protect his tattoo as it is precious to him. Do-hee worries about his injuries, and he grabs her arm and heals himself. Of course, Do-hee is shocked to witness this and asks who he is. Finally, Gu-won explains he is a demon. Later, Do-hee reports the case to the police and is informed that the acid would have melted her skin, so she is lucky to escape. The detective is curious as to why someone is targeting Do-hee. She, on the other hand, claims she doesn't know who wants her dead so desperately. In reality, she is starting to get suspicious of someone in the company after the cryptic call from one of the employees. In the meantime, Gu-won waits for her to finish giving a statement. A strange woman tries to warn him of impending danger, but he ignores her because of her appearance. Once Do-hee is done, Gu-won drives her home, and the detectives wonder if the two will get married. During the ride home, Do-hee proposes to make Gu-won her bodyguard to allow him to be close and protect her and the tattoo. Obviously, Gu-won thinks that the job is below him and turns down her offer. They get to her place, but he insists on scoping the area and even asks about the building's security. For a man who doesn't want to be Do-hee's bodyguard, he sure is sending mixed signals. Unfortunately, Gu-won fails to notice the assassin is watching them. He is frustrated that his plan didn't work. The killer heads home and continues to plot. Gu-won heads home and seems worried about Do-hee's safety. Bak-gyu questions why he refused to be Do-hee's bodyguard if he is so concerned. Nonetheless, Gu-won thinks he is not cut out to be a mere human's bodyguard. Bak-gyu brings out the demon guidebook and reminds him he used to be human, too. In the past, demons were human guardians, and it is similar to being a bodyguard. As they talk, Do-hee texts Gu-won, threatening to get rid of the tattoo through laser treatment, but he fails to take the bait. On the other hand, Bak-gyu worries that Do-hee might reveal Gu-won's identity. However, Gu-won is not worried as he knows humans are fickle, and no one would believe Do-hee if she says she met the devil. Through a flashback, we see a young woman giving testimony at the church about meeting the devil, but no one believes her. Later that night, Do-hee watches the news and recognizes the man who called her as Mr. Cha, the Mirage Group head of finance. According to the news, Mr. Cha was accused of embezzlement, and he decided to commit suicide. Out of concern, Do-hee calls Cheon-suk and asks if her company is okay. Cheon-suk is surprised to hear about Mr. Cha's death, but assures Do-hee that everything is fine. She warns Do-hee to stop being nosy and focus on her company. After the call, Cheon-suk calls her secretary and asks for all news articles relating to the death of Mr. Cha. She also asks for the company's financial statement for the last decade. Cheon-suk thoroughly goes through the statements and discovers something. She summons a man in a leather jacket and warns him that he has gone too far this time. She is aware this man killed someone and says he will pay. The mysterious man leaves without saying a word, but he is angry. The next morning, Gu-won wakes up in high spirits. He tells Bak-gyu that he has realized he can get his tattoo if he recreates the conditions from the night he lost his tattoo. Suddenly, his fingers start combusting, and they try to put the fire out. Jae-young finds them in this chaotic state and tries to help. Gu-won is scared and agrees to be Do-hee's bodyguard. He calls her, wakes her up and asks to meet. Do-hee is displeased by his early morning call but agrees to meet with him. She notices that he has changed his mind suddenly. Gu-won explains that their fates are tied, so they must work together. However, Gu-won's finger starts combusting again, and he quickly shoves his arm into the icebox he brought with him. He takes Do-hee to a building's rooftop and says it is the best place to spot humans looking for a deal. Gu-won is in a hurry to make a new deal and save himself. He hears the cry of a mother whose child is about to die from cancer. He brings Do-hee along, and she is pissed as she witnesses Gu-won corner the mom into taking the deal. The desperate mom agrees to go to hell as there is nothing she won't do for her kid. Doohee wanted Goo-won to give the woman time to decide, but the latter lashed out at her, saying there was no time. Doohee is disgusted that Goo-won make deals off humans' desperation to survive. On the other hand, Goo-won doesn't understand why she's angry at him when he just saved the little girl. In anger, Doohee asks him to consider how the girl will feel when she loses her mom over the deal. She fires him as her bodyguard and stomps away. Goo-won is left to celebrate his new deal by himself. He tells Bakgyu that Doohee is acting self-righteously because she is not desperate. Once she is in danger again, she will come around. In return, Bakgyu tells Goo-won about the conditions on the night he lost his powers. The most critical point being there was a full moon. They now have to wait 28 more days for Goo-won to try and get his tattoo back on a full moon night. Elsewhere, Doohee has a hard time focusing at work. Goo-won's deal with the mom haunts her. She is not the only one. Goo-won is having a hard time remembering Doohee's words. He returns to the hospital and finds the girl about to be discharged. He asks her about her wishes and is heartbroken when she says she doesn't want her parents to suffer because of her. In the meantime, Daejong works on finding bodyguards for Doohee. As the day passes, Doohee runs into the family, celebrating the girl's birthday at a hotel. Witnessing the girl's happy face and the gratitude on the parents' faces makes Doohee change her mind about Goo-won's deal. She is surprised to see him waiting outside her car on her way back. Goo-won is dressed in black, holding an umbrella as it is raining and ready to be her bodyguard. However, Daejong refuses to give him an easy transition to the job. She gets him books on martial arts and refuses to provide him with a gun. The other workers wonder why Doohee got a handsome bodyguard and what his weaknesses are. We can't fault them, though. Goo-won looks too good to be true. Later that night, Doohee and Goo-won discuss why they changed their minds. Doohee is curious about Goo-won's life, and as usual, they start to bicker and tease each other. Doohee mocked Goo-won for contempt of human beings when he used to be human himself. Doohee gets a message from Cheon-suk. In the message, Cheon-suk says she loves Doohee and that it is her time to go. Doohee thinks it is another of Cheon-suk's pranks but asks Goo-won to drive to the latter's place. Unfortunately, this time, it was not a prank. Doohee finds Cheon-suk dead in her beloved greenhouse. She begs Goo-won to save Cheon-suk, but he clarifies he can't bring back the dead. Doohee is beside herself as she mourns Cheon-suk. Goo-won sadly watches her as there is nothing he can do. The scene cuts to Cheon-suk's funeral, and her kids are pretending to be sad while paying their respects. Doohee reminisces about the first time she met Cheon-suk at her parents' funeral. Cheon-suk helped her to stop feeling self-pity and mourn her parents. Suk-hoon tries to comfort Doohee, and Suwon keeps trying to get a rise out of her. She feels like Doohee is now an open target without Suk-hoon protecting her. Suk-hoon informs Doohee that before her death, Cheon-suk had ordered the formation of an audit team. However, the board passed an emergency motion putting the formation on hold. Doohee is surprised that there was an emergency meeting. Most people assume Suk-min will be the new chairman as he is the eldest son. Doohee notes that it seems as if, instead of a funeral, the kids are celebrating their mother's death. This and Suwon's antagonizing words sadden her. She heads to the greenhouse, and Do-jeong, Suk-min's son, finds her there. He was hoping to smoke even though he knows his grandma hated the smell of cigarettes. Doohee finds this offensive and grabs the cigarette from his mouth. Do-jeong believes his father will inherit the house, so Doohee has no right to stop him. Meanwhile, Gwankol sneaks into the funeral dressed as security. He gets access to the CCTV room. Back to Doohee, Goo-won saves her from Do-jeong and uses his powers to teach the young man a little lesson. He offers Doohee some wine and listens to her as she describes Cheon-suk. Gu-won says that people wear black at funerals to keep the dead spirit from following them home. Do-hee is heartbroken to hear this since she is wearing black and wants to say goodbye to Cheon-suk. She feels like she is the only one genuinely mourning her. To make her feel better, Gu-won uses his power to change the color of her dress from black to white. He excuses himself and allows Do-hee to say goodbye to Cheon-suk. Do-hee believes that Cheon-suk appeared to her in the form of a butterfly. She thanks the old lady for helping her since her parent died and hopes they will meet again in their next lives. Gu-won silently listens and sees affected, too. Later, the police call the family aside and announce that Cheon-suk took diclofenac before she died. Do-hee notes this is strange since Cheon-suk was allergic to the drug and would never willingly take it. She silently wonders if Mr. Cha's death, the emergency audit and the random attacks on her life are connected. However, Suk-min and the rest of the family urge the police to keep the real manner of death a secret. They are worried about stocks plummeting and bad publicity. The detectives agree, and Suk-min and the family disperse. Do-hee is stunned by the betrayal and starts experiencing chest pains. She follows the family outside and announces that Cheon-suk was murdered. Everyone is shocked. Suk-min tries to kick Do-hee out, but the lawyer says she is needed for the will hearing about to take place. Gu-won also quickly comes to her defense. However, Do-hee has had enough and starts to walk out of the funeral as Suk-hoon tries to calm everyone. The lawyer begins reading the will and states that Cheon-suk left a condition in her will. It reads as follows: the real estate is bequeathed to Hanserang Welfare Foundation. The Myri Group's management rights, shares of its affiliates and everything else are bequeathed to the designated legatee. In another twist, Cheon-suk manages to have the last laugh as she makes Do-hee the designated legatee. The family is shocked, but Do-hee is even more shocked, especially after learning about the condition that comes with her new responsibilities. She has to get married within a year, or everything is bequeathed to the Hanserang Welfare Foundation. To help her family deal with the last surprise, Cheon-suk left letters for her kids, criticizing how money made them heartless. Suwon loses her cool and tries to attack Do-hee. Suk-hoon does his best to keep her calm. Meanwhile, Sara questions if Do-hee will agree to the will and is surprised when the latter answers that only death can stop her. Do-hee then walks to Gu-won and proposes using one of the rings Cheon-suk gave her. The episode ends with a cliffhanger as we don't know Gu-won's answer. The episode review. This episode was nothing short of interesting, as so many things happened. First, Cheon-suk figured out who killed Mr. Cha and who is working with Gwankol. I think it is Suk-min or his son as they appear suspicious, and Cheon-suk said this is not the culprit's first time using cheap, dirty tricks. We know that Suk-min caused many problems in his heyday, so he is a likely suspect. The suspect probably killed Cheon-suk because she swore to make him pay, and we know she never minced her words. She should have watched her back after threatening the mysterious man. With Cheon-suk gone, Do-hee will have to take over the company and identify the culprit quickly. She will also need to stay alert as attacks will come from every corner, including the public and the media. It won't be easy, but hopefully, she will manage with Gu-won on her side. Even in death, Cheon-suk did her best to protect Do-hee, but why did she do it? Was it out of guilt, love, or both? It will be hard for Do-hee once the truth is revealed. The scene where she says goodbye to Cheon-suk and refuses to keep her murder a secret proves that Do-hee truly loves Cheon-suk. The betrayal will break her. Lastly, our handsome devil has started to develop feelings for the Myri Group princess. He went out of his way to comfort her and be there for her after Cheon-suk died. Let's wait to see if it is a yes or a no on the proposal. Oh! How exciting will tomorrow's episode be?